Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Horror Mine, where we talk about mysteries, thrillers, horror movies, and sometimes TV shows. My name is Vic Shai, and in this video, I'll be going over the newly released Netflix South Korean supernatural thriller series, HELLBOUND. HELLBOUND is based on the webtoon of the same name created by Yeon Sang-ho, who directed Train to Busan. The story revolves around a mysterious phenomenon where people are told by a supernatural entity that they will be dragged to hell at a specific date and time. When that time comes, they are brutalized by three large supernatural beings that appear out of nowhere before their souls are sent to hell. HELLBOUND is a bloody, intense, and emotionally gripping show that explores heavy themes of religion and morality, to name a few. I'll be breaking down the events that take place throughout all 6 episodes, while giving my thoughts, opinions, and interpretations. I'll also be discussing theories and speculations of what this all means leading into Season 2. Keep in mind that these will be my thoughts and interpretations of the show that may heavily differ from yours. This video will contain spoilers for HELLBOUND, which is currently streaming on Netflix. I apologize in advance if I butcher any of the character names. I don't speak Korean, but I will try my best to pronounce them and not sound ridiculous. But without further ado, sit back and relax and join me as we explore the deadly and hellish world of HELLBOUND. Episode 1 begins in a small coffee shop where some patrons are debating the legitimacy of an online video. The man in the video is talking about an angel that speaks the name of an individual, who is then told the exact time they will be sent to hell. We see 3 large shadowy figures putting the beat down on a man and seemingly fulfilling that prophecy. We see a nervous man staring at the time on his phone and looking around like the IRS is after him or something. The clock hits 1:20 and we hear a loud thundering noise. 3 large supernatural beings suddenly appear and begin brutalizing the man. The creatures are ape-like in appearance and their skin resembles muscle tissue. They also have smoke emitting from their bodies and look menacing as hell. They relentlessly chase the man down and beat the absolute crap out of him before sending him straight to hell. Damn, the IRS doesn't mess around. The creatures then disappear into some kind of portal, leaving the man's charred remains in their wake. During a police briefing, we learn the man's name was Ju Myung-hun. The incident, now called the Hapsung Station murder case, has gone viral on the internet. Here we meet one of our main characters, laid-back detective Kyung-hun. He and his partner Eun-pyo are assigned to investigate a religious group called The New Truth. The religious group was created by a man named Chairman Jung Jin-soo 10 years ago in 2012. They arrive at the crime scene and see Chairman Jung giving a presentation. Kyung-hun sees his daughter Hee-jung at the presentation, who is supposed to be in school. He shows the charred remains of several individuals that were supposedly visited by an angel and told them they would be sent to hell at a specific date and time. They were all criminals and viewed as sinners in the eyes of God. The New Truth views these deaths not as murders, but divine intervention and a warning from God for people to be more righteous. Eun-pyo appears sympathetic to the views of The New Truth, while Kyung-hun believes that the law strictly dictates right and wrong. He believes that people have free will and should not be scared into living a righteous life. Chairman Jung brings up Kyung-hun's wife, who was murdered some time ago. The culprit was arrested, but a drug test revealed he committed the crime while under the influence of drugs. He was given a light prison sentence of 10 years, of which he only served 6. This brings up the real-life issue of the mistrust that people have in the justice system. A woman named Park Jong-ja returns home from work to a birthday surprise from her 2 children. Right after blowing her candles, a mystical face appears out of nowhere and tells her she will die in 5 days at 3 p.m. He could have at least waited until they cut the cake. If we listen closely, we can make out that the voice is that of a man and a woman speaking simultaneously. We then meet the leader of another religious group called the Arrowhead during a live broadcast. The Arrowhead consists of former followers of the New Truth that have a more radical ideology. As shown by their leader Skull Mask, Arrowhead members use the New Truth doctrine as an excuse to commit crime. He shows a video of a man being beaten by Arrowhead members for speaking out against the doctrine. Skull Mask urges his members to do God's work by finding out the crimes committed by Ju Myung-hun as proof of his damnation. While the Arrowhead follow the ideology of the New Truth Doctrine, the organizations are not affiliated with one another. It is clear that they both have a sizable number of followers, although the extent of their influence and power are unknown. The next day, we meet Min Hye-jin, a lawyer from the Soto law firm representing the man who was assaulted by the Arrowhead. 4 of the members are brought into the police station and are all juveniles that seem to feel no remorse about what they did. She obviously doesn't care about anything, especially not her own looks walking around with that hair roller on her forehead. Miss Park Jung-ja consults with Hye-jin and shows her the video of the decree recorded by her son. She says that the New Truth has offered her 3 billion won to do a live broadcast of her death that they are calling a demonstration. Jung-ja needs Hye-jin to legally ensure she receives the money. She doesn't know if the decree will come true, but wants to ensure that her children are financially stable no matter what. Jung-ja is a representation of the harsh reality that parents face every day. Not even knowing whether she will live or die, she is only concerned about her children's future and making sure they are taken care of after her death. Hye-jin's associate Mr. Park tells her that they will accept the case. He does not believe that the decree will come true and that this will expose the New Truth as frauds. He brings up the point that whether or not the decree comes true, her children need the money. We learn that Hye-jin's mother is terminally ill from cancer. In a very touching scene, she tells Hye-jin that her decree was the day her doctor diagnosed her with cancer. She says she isn't afraid to die because everyone does at some point. All she wants to do is die a peaceful death with her daughter by her side. An autopsy reveals that the charred remains of Ju Myung-hun are in fact not his remains but something supernatural. More on that later. Chairman Jung meets with Jung-ja, her lawyers, and the detectives to sign the contract for her demonstration. While they go over the contract, Chairman Jung questions Jung-ja about the identity of her children's father.
애들 아빠는 원래 없어요.
아빠가 원래 없다니요. 그럴 수가 있나?
He is purposely digging into her past to figure out her sin and why she was chosen for damnation. She reveals that her children have separate fathers that are no longer in their lives. Actress Kim Shin-rock brings her A game throughout the entire show and gives a truly gut-wrenching performance. An important term of the contract is that the identity of her children must not be revealed for their safety. During one of Skullmask's livestream, a commenter with the username Conformist38 leaks Park Jung-ja's identity in the comment section. Conformist38 is revealed to be Detective Eun Pyo, who turns out to be a devout Arrowhead follower. This was hinted at in a couple scenes, starting with the car ride in episode 1. Eun Pyo showed he had prior knowledge of the Arrowhead and almost went on a tangent about his beliefs before he caught himself.
증거 불충분이네 심신미약에는 온갖 걸로 다 빼주고 이씨.
He also tried and failed to obtain the identity of Jung-ja's children so that he could leak that information as well. Kyung-hoon comes home and finds that his daughter isn't there. He calls her and she uses the oldest trick in the book.
나 친구 집.
시험이라 밤샘하고 내일 같이 학교로 가려고.
He falls for it, and we see that she is in Chairman Jung's apartment. She reveals that she feels responsible for her mother's death. The day she died, Hee-jung was supposed to bring her father a set of clothes but got distracted by a puppy. Her mother went out instead and was tragically killed soon after. Thinking that the New Truth was responsible for leaking Jung-ja's identity, Hye-jin rushes the children to the airport. They safely board a plane to Canada where they will be taken care of by her cousin. Meanwhile, Chairman Jung and Hee-jung capture the man who killed her mother. The man is then burned alive while Hee-jung watches with a twisted look of pleasure on her face. The man's remains are discovered the next day, staged to look like he was dragged to hell. Chairman Jung wanted this to look like divine intervention. He wants people to think that man-made laws were unable to bring true justice, and that God decided to intervene. As her demonstration draws near, followers of both the New Truth and Arrowhead demand that Park Jung-ja confess her sins and repent. At the police station, Kyung-hoon is investigating the death of his wife's killer and unsuccessfully tries to reach his daughter. Several members members of the Arrowhead suddenly burst into the station and ambush the officers inside. The day of Jungja's demonstration has come and is not only being broadcast online but on major TV networks as well. Several masked VIPs arrive for the demonstration, which now very much appears like a public execution. The VIPs are possibly very wealthy and are undoubtedly funding the new truth. If we take a look at their masks, they are possibly a depiction of the floating head that hands out the decrees. The stage for the demonstration is Jungja's apartment. Her home that is supposed to be her place of comfort and privacy has had a wall literally torn down so that people can witness her death. The time finally arrives and we hear the loud rumbling noise signaling the arrival of the supernatural executioners. They quite rudely burst through the walls and begin brutalizing Jungja as the entire world watches in fear, all except for Eunpyo, who looks just like I do when Mickey finally walks out at the local fair. Kyung-hoon is the only one who tries to save her by shooting at the executioners but is knocked out after a single blow. Jungja is tragically sent to hell and the executioners head home after a hard day's work. Every person in attendance bows down in fear except for Hyejin, Mr. Park, and the chief. Kyun-hoon wakes up in the hospital with seemingly no one around. I'm thoroughly enjoying the Korean adaptation of 28 Days Later. Everyone is now afraid to go out in fear of the possibility that they may sin. Kyung-hoon heads to the police station and watches CCTV footage that shows his daughter was involved in capturing his wife's killer. Chairman Jung has an interview on live television and explains that the demonstration was God's message. He says that everyone must carry on living like normal and try to live righteously. He purposely moves his webcam, revealing Hee-jung's jacket in the background, knowing that Kyung-hoon is watching. During a live broadcast, Skullmask shows his followers that Hyejin and Mr. Park were the only ones refusing to bow down to God after witnessing the demonstration. Hyejin realizes she is in danger and already had that plane ticket to Canada in her cart. While packing her things, she opens an envelope she received from a pastor named Kim Jong-chil. She finds a book published in 2004 containing a testimony from Chairman Jung, who says he received the decree 20 years ago. Instead of driving straight to the airport with her terminally ill mother, she heads to her office and leaves her mom in the car. She goes up to the office and finds it has been completely vandalized. She calls Mr. Park and we see that he has been brutally assaulted. Realizing she is next, Hyejin rushes back down to the garage and sees several Arrowhead members assaulting her mother. After delivering a hard blow to the back of her mother's head, the thugs ride off. Hyejin rushes her mother to the hospital, but she tragically passes away. Kyung-hoon goes to Chairman Jung's apartment and sees several people camping out in front of his building like they're waiting on a shipment of PS5s at the local Walmart. The crowd begins to beat on him like he just bought the last console until he receives a call from Chairman Jung himself. He meets with Chairman Jung at an abandoned school where he reveals that he received a decree 20 years ago. At the same time, Hyejin meets with Pastor Jong-chil, who shows her a recording of the interview he had with Chairman Jung in 2004.
너는 앞으로 20년 후 오후 22시 30분에 죽는다.
She asks him for a copy of the recording and he nonchalantly deletes it right in front of her. That's where I would have been like, okay, I think I'm just gonna go home now. Chairman Jung says that he is bound for hell in 10 minutes. However, he reveals that he has never sinned and that he has no idea why he received the decree. This shows that even those who have never sinned can receive a decree and be sent to hell. Jung knew this all along and created the new truth so that the mysterious phenomenon could have a reason to exist and make the world a better place. His organization is ironically called the New Truth, but is entirely based on a lie. He believes that if the world finds out that people are being dragged to hell at random for no apparent reason, people will panic and the world will plunge into chaos. He has lived with the knowledge of his impending doom for 20 years, which helped him live a more righteous life. He wants the world to live with the same constant fear of an impending doom and hoping to create a world without sin. While he can be viewed as righteous in intent, his flawed ideology ultimately led him to commit deception and murder. Pastor Jong-chil reveals that Chairman Jung asked him to keep his prophecy and death a secret. In return, he has made him the new chairman of the New Truth. Knowing that Hyejin would leak the truth, he has also asked him to get rid of her. She attempts to run, but the Arrowhead are waiting right outside and begin beating on her. Chairman Jung tells Kyung-hoon that his daughter is waiting for him at home and gives him a choice. He can tell the world the truth about his death and the phenomenon. He would also have to arrest his daughter for helping murder the man that killed his wife, or keep the truth a secret and live in a world without sin.
그리고 제가 마련한 세상을 시정씨랑 같이 누리세요. 자유롭게.
The executioners finally arrive and beat on Jung just like when Brian owed Stewie some money. Kyung-hoon returns home to his daughter and seems completely defeated. Not only must he keep the truth about the phenomenon hidden, but he must also conceal his daughter's crime. He must now go against everything he believed in from the beginning. In the first episode, Kyung-hoon says that his job is to catch criminals. Whether their victim is good or bad, it doesn't matter. Whether they killed to save the world or for fun,
살인한 놈은 잡는다. 그게 우리 일이야. 우린 거기까지만 생각하면 돼.
little did he know he would be going back on this very principle for his own daughter. We then see Hyejin bloodied and left to die on a pile of rocks as the third episode ends. Episode 4 acts as a new chapter in the story and takes place 4 years after the previous episode. Park Jung-jae's demonstration was a pivotal moment in creating a new era where the New Truth has become extremely powerful and influential. The New Truth now runs like a big profitable corporation. They run televised ads, have employees in uniforms, and have turned demonstration sites into museums. Chairman Jung-chil is very different than Chairman Jung was. He dresses lavishly and is obviously banking on the success of the New Truth, a success born from the public's fear of damnation. Receiving a decree is now considered very shameful and publicly brands those who receives it as sinners. Some who receive the decree will try to keep it a secret and die where no one will find them. Others attempt to take their own lives but cannot escape their fate. Can't even die and have a peaceful funeral anymore. We meet our new main character, TV producer Bae Young-jae. Young-jae and his partner Jun-won are in charge of producing a new ad for the New Truth. However, Young-jae doesn't see eye to eye with Deacon Yuji, a high-ranking member of the New Truth. His wife just gave birth to a baby boy and all he wants to do is go to the hospital and see his family. He tries to get Jun-won to work on the ad, but he is acting very strange and says he has something important to do with his wife. At the hospital, Young-jae's wife So-hyun tries to sneak a recording of her baby named Tuffy. In a shocking turn of events, their newborn baby receives a decree from the angel and is bound for hell in 3 days. So-hyun is devastated by the revelation and must deal with the situation on her own, as Young-jae tries to find out what is wrong with Jun-won. He tracks him down to an isolated fishing spot thanks to a business card given to Jun-won by loan sharks. Jun-won reveals that he received a decree and begs him not to tell anyone. The executioners appear and Jun-won is sent to hell. Here, you deal with him now. After his death, a mysterious group called Soto appears and takes away his remains. Young-jae is told to forget about what he saw and not to dig into it. He is put to sleep and we see that the leader of the group is none other than Min Hyejin, who survived her brutal attack at the hands of the Arrowhead 4 years ago. Hyejin's secret organization Soto, like her previous law firm, are named after the Sacred District Soto. According to an online article, the Sacred District Soto was a sacred place where refugees fled for protection because it was independent of the government at the time. Similar to the sacred district its name is based on, Soto works in the shadows and is independent of the current authority of the land, the New Truth, and the Arrowhead. People come to Soto seeking protection from the New Truth to have their identities hidden after receiving a decree. Young-jae finally arrives at the hospital and is shown the tragic video of his newborn baby receiving the decree. Deacon Yuji joins the police in their search for Junwon, who has been reported missing by his wife. He discovers the business card for Soto Quick Loan and realizes that something seems off about his disappearance. The new truth now seems to have a clear influence over the police. Much like what happened to Park Jung-ja, the new truth have turned demonstrations into a televised public spectacle, led by the over-eccentric Chairman Jong-chil. The stole worn by Chairman Jong-chil and the jackets worn by the deacons are the color aquamarine, a color that symbolizes clarity and harmony. The color they wear, much like their name, are a very misleading and deceptive representation of who the new truth really are. With no one to turn to, Young-jae seeks out the Soto organization and shows them the video of his baby's decree. He meets with a man named Hyung-jun who tells him that the decree is a supernatural phenomenon that cannot be explained, and was disguised as God's will by Chairman Jung. He says that Soto is an organization that works in the shadows directly against the new truth. They hide those who receive the decree and prevent their identities and deaths from going public. Deacon Yuji tells Chairman Jong-chil he believes that the Soto group are hiding the bodies of those receiving the decree. He learns that the group is being led by Min Hye-jin and realizes the arrowhead failed to kill her 4 years ago. He orders Deacon Yuji to find every member of Soto and bring them in. Yuji tells his partner Deacon Sashong to contact the Arrowhead and enlist their help in taking down Soto. As seen when he first came into power, Chairman Jong-chil secretly works with the Arrowhead unbeknownst to the public. Though their methods heavily differ from one another, they secretly work together for the ultimate goal of power and influence, while using God as an excuse. Young-jae meets with Hyejin, who says she wants to do a live broadcast of his baby's demonstration. She believes that if people find out a newborn baby received a decree, the world will return to what it once was. This will prove that the new truth are frauds and people will realize that the decrees have nothing to do with being a sinner. He goes home and tells Sohyun that Soto want to broadcast their baby's demonstration. Deacon Yuji and the Arrowhead are able to track down a member of Soto and torture him into revealing the identity and location of other members. This leads them to capture and kill Hyung-jun by burning him alive. They then download his car's GPS information to find out where he's been, revealing Hyejin's location. Deacon Yuji and numerous Arrowhead members raid Hyejin's hideout, but she narrowly manages to escape by kicking some serious Deacon ass. Even though his baby is scheduled to die and knowing how his wife feels about it, Young-jae still goes into work the next day. This was an obvious mistake, as in the episode's final scene, we see So-hyun bringing her baby to the New Truth headquarters. So-hyun texts Young-jae telling him that she went to the New Truth to find out why their baby received the decree. Chairman Jong-chil says that the public must never find out about this and orders So-hyun and the baby to be separated. Young-jae arrives with Hyejin and manages to retrieve his baby. The group evade the New Truth and drive away from the headquarters. They hide in the apartment of a man named Dong-wook who says that he has also received the decree. Dong-wook helps Hyejin broadcast a video of the baby's decree on the internet. Although there is video evidence of the decree, the New Truth would claim that the video was tampered with and they still need to broadcast the demonstration. It is soon revealed that Dong-wook used to be Skullmask, the leader of the Arrowhead. He stopped being Skullmask years ago after receiving the decree. At least the angel waited until the livestream was over. That was pretty considerate. Oh, and by the way, you're going to hell. He calls the New Truth and tells them that Hyejin and the baby are inside of his apartment. He reveals that his demonstration is set to take place only 5 minutes after the baby's. Jong-chil tricks him into thinking that God made a mistake giving the decree to a newborn baby. He tells Dong-wook that he is the Messiah and his decree is proof that God is trying to correct his mistake. He throws his phone on the ground and the New Truth are able to track its location. As the rest of the Soto members arrive, Dong Dong-wook sneaks up on them and somehow kills them all with a knife. Their dead bodies are discovered by Young-jae, who is then confronted by Skull Mask. He says that he plans on getting rid of the baby's remains after the demonstration so that people don't figure out the truth. He chases after Young-jae, who is knocked unconscious after being thrown down the stairs. Skull Mask then runs into the apartment and begins fighting Hyejin as So-hyun runs out with her baby. A crowd gathers at the center of the apartment and she tells them what is about to happen. The executioners arrive and it's business as usual for them. They rush toward the baby, but So-hyun quickly grabs him away. Hyejin and Young-jae also try their best to deter the executioners from taking the baby, but they are simply too powerful. With seemingly no way to escape, Young-jae and So-hyun embrace their baby as they are sent to hell by the executioners. In a shocking turn of events, we see that baby Tuffy somehow survived and was not sent to hell with his parents. This would be the first time that a decree was not truly fulfilled that we know of. I have a couple theories on why this happened. The first and probably the most generic reason is that his parents' love was able to shield him from being sent to hell. Their selfless sacrifice and unconditional love was more powerful than whoever sent the executioners expected, sort of like when Harry Potter's parents sacrificed themselves to protect him from Lord Voldemort. I now half expect to find some type of oddly shaped scar somewhere on Tuffy. It is also possible that the executioners chose to send his parents to hell instead, or that they somehow made a mistake. Before this, we have yet to see an instance where someone else has jumped on top of a person being sent to hell. Seeing as the executioners are always in a rush, they probably sent the parents to hell and thought, "Oh, what the hell, 2 for the price of 1, good enough for me. Peace!" Whatever the reason is for Tuffy being spared, it is likely that he hasn't been crossed off the list of Jericho and that there is unfinished business heading into future seasons. All the witnesses are shocked to see that the baby is still alive, as if they have just seen a miracle. Dong-wook tries to kill the baby anyways, but is stopped by Hyejin. The executioners reappear and brutally drag his body all over the place before sending him to hell. Hyejin grabs the baby, who will undoubtedly become a beacon of hope for the world. Once word spreads about what happened, people will slowly start to believe that they can survive their decrees. This might lead to people trying to fight back against the executioners and figure out ways to cheat their fate. The new truth arrive with the police and try to apprehend Hyejin. However, the people who have just witnessed the miracle aren't having that crap. They block Deacon Yuji from getting to her and he starts to get aggressive. A brave old man tells Deacon Yuji what everyone else is thinking, that the new truth are liars and frauds. Deacon Yuji goes full on berserk and starts beating on the old man while everyone simply stands there and watches for some reason. Deacon Yuji is arrested for battery and everyone who stood there and watched it happen should be ashamed of themselves, especially the police officers. Hyejin gets into a taxi with the baby and the driver seems to already know who she is. While I initially thought she was betrayed yet again, it turns out that the driver is on her side. He seems to be a part of the silent majority that wish to bring the world to what it was before. In the episode's shocking final scene, the remains of Park Jung-ja begin to move on their own. She is suddenly pieced back together and seemingly brought back to life as the episode ends. But what the heck was that all about? I have a couple theories on what the ending might mean heading into the second season. Considering everything we know from having watched the show, someone or something is clearly in control of the supernatural phenomenon that has plagued the world. The closest thing that resembles to the authority behind the phenomenon is the floating head or angel that appears when someone is given a decree. If we listen to its voice, it sounds like the voice of a man and a woman, hinting that more than one person is behind the powers that be. We also know that people being sent to hell has nothing to do with whether or not they have sinned. With that in mind, someone is obviously choosing who is being sent to hell. Whoever is choosing those who receive a decree is likely the one choosing who gets sent back to Earth, meaning that everyone who was sent to hell has the possibility of making a return in Season 2, most notably Chairman Jung, Young-jae, and So-hyun. The return of these characters would definitely change the scope of the world if they returned with the knowledge of what is truly going on. One possible reason that Park Jung-ja was brought back to life is that when the executioners came to claim Tuffy, they sent 2 souls to hell instead of 1. With the extra soul having been sent to hell, it is possible that they decided to send 1 back. It is also possible that they made a mistake and are now submitting new job applications on Indeed.hell. It is also possible that while Park Jung-ja has returned physically, her body is now inhabited by something supernatural. The forensic results of Ju Myung-hoon's remains say that they are not human, but something supernatural. This possibly means that when someone is sent to hell, their entire soul and body is sent there. What remains is possibly the skeleton of a supernatural being not yet born, that later takes the form of the person who died. This could mean a possible invasion of unknown supernatural beings that look exactly like humans. Sounds like a prequel to Secret Invasion if you ask me. It is possible that Park Jung-ja is not the first one this has happened to, and she is certainly not the last. I also wouldn't be surprised if the writers were simply blown away by her performance and were like, write her back in, write her back in! With all this in mind, there are some crazy things in store for us in Season 2. It is interesting to see what the public reception of Tuffy surviving his demonstration will be. He and Hyejin will most likely still be hunted down by the New Truth, whom we will likely see lose power and influence as a result of what happened. If the New Truth lose prominence, the Arrowhead may try and become the dominant authority of the land. However, as seen with the taxi driver, there is a silent majority that will surely join Hyejin to try and restore the world to what it was. We may also see the return of Detective Kyung-hoon and his daughter Hee-jung, who were missing in the second half of the show. I also believe that Detective Eun-pyo will possibly join the Arrowhead as their leader. While we definitely won't learn everything in Season 2, we should get some answers as to what the supernatural phenomenon really is and who or what is behind it all. What did you all think of Season 1 of HELLBOUND? Did you enjoy the show? What do you expect to see in Season 2? Let me know in the comments down below, as I would love to discuss it with you all. But as always, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you all for tuning in, and I cannot wait to see y'all right back here in the horror mine. Y'all stick around.